there are people who are trying on these different identities for social media clout and for followers rather than actually making these true conversions. And I'm like, yeah, if you're an actual trad wife, you're not going to be on social media because
to me, a lot of what drives this
just
is
not a thing.
A lot of what drives this is in general
by clicks.
Yeah, like it's just social media is it's not a secret. Overall, I dislike social media's effect on society. It has plus sides. Obviously, like I think the ability to grow around traditional media, for example, is why we were able to win this presidential election. But its effect on individual people, like if you are mediating your view of the world through social media, that if you spend so much time, I guess in the back in the day, it would be looking at people's Facebook updates, but now it's their Instagram posts. And if you're interfacing with the world where your understanding of the people around you is by what they post on social media, and your sense of your self-worth is by how much engagement you get on social media, and instead of having a normal career of any sort, like you just exist as an influencer, that's hugely corrosive to you as a person. And I guess bluntly, I think it is clearly worse for young women than it is for men. One of my fun takes at parties is I basically will say that social media is to women what pornography is to men. It takes a normal human impulse. So, for men, like
wait, say that again. Say that again.
I say that social media does to women what pornography, socially, by analogy, social media is for women what pornography is for men. That it takes a normal impulse. So men want to have sex with women. That's normal. God gave us that. And it takes that and it supercharges it with like this massive overstimulus in a destructive way. Because women are more social. They think a lot more about their interactions with other people. They care about attention.
They're attention driven.
They're more attention driven.
And I'm not saying
we
that
take
all
that and we
guys
supercharge
aren't, right?
that.
This isn't that
blows out.
I don't want to do
the
the what do they call it? The Naxalt fallacy. Not all X are like that. So yes, when we say things like that here on the program, that doesn't mean that there are no men who are attention driven. I mean, look at us, for example. Charlie just left, but we love him.
What Blake is saying is
we
that
aren't attention driven, Jack. We're mission driven.
On average, we are. No, I think that's right. We are.
I
use that with my kids all the time. When I want my little kids to do something, they say, "Guys, we have a mission, and the mission is we have to get the house ready because Mama's coming home, and so we want the toys cleaned up, and we want to get ready for dinner and all this." And it's when you and I do like a little military thing. I'm like, "Boys, this is Commander Poso. All right, gentlemen," and they stand at attention, and we get up on. We do like a little. We get online. We do this on vacations. I say that like we're checking for spies while we walk a certain way or something.
Wait, Jack,
and they totally respond.
Are your kids old enough that you've told them, that where you served and that you are connected with Rear Admiral Crandall, and like if they misbehave, you could send them to Gitmo?
Blake, there are certain things that are at a higher classification level. So let's just
all right. I guess I should correct. I've been reading it. I've been following up on it. Rear Admiral Crandall did retire. There's a new person overseeing the Real Raw News tribunals.
The only news site that Blake reads every day is Real Raw News, which is basically like the great what was it called? Weekly World News. It was kind of like Weekly World News, if you remember that one, the classic with Bat Boy and everything that you would get at the supermarket aisle. It is basically that for the internet, and it is amazing and obviously 100% accurate in every single thing that they have.
Why would I read any other website when there's only one accurate website? Everything else is fake
Don't
news.
need to. You just don't need to.
I only read anything blacklisted on Wikipedia. That's it. The only things that are not allowed to be cited on Wikipedia, that's the only thing you need to read. Real Raw News is at the top of that list, for sure.
But yeah, so certainly no.
I want to go back, though, I think the most interesting thing about this entire social media play, that's like probably the most sickening part of the entire thing. It's one thing to be a sexual deviant, right? That's one thing. That's not why she's doing this, right? She's doing this because, and this is the clout chasing thing, people will do whatever they can to clout chase. And it kind of makes you feel disgusting when you watch, like I catch my kids on YouTube Shorts on YouTube Kids or whatever it is, where they watch.
Oh,
all these
dude,
things.
my kids can't get off of YouTube
It's
Shorts.
clout chasing, and this is like to like the point that you're bringing up on social media is like people do all these clout chasing things, reviews, like weirdo stuff, like, and you're like, why are adults doing like this weirdo content? And it's clout chasing so they can make money. And there's like a weird part of that where you're like looking at that and you're going, it's kind of disgusting that they're lowering themselves to do that thing that that nobody really actually wants to do, but now they're living this life of making this incredibly weirdo content, like playing with Barbie dolls and making them talk to each other and doing all sorts of things, right? Like in toys. And you're like, they're lowering themselves because they're making tremendous amounts of money. That's not going to last forever. It's the same thing, in my opinion, with like women who degrade themselves on OnlyFans or whatever else, like whatever they choose to do, because they're choosing to make money over, like, with that as the exchange rate. And, I think there's elements where it's like, oh, well, you do that once or whatever. It's like, you learn from it and that's easier to come back from. But it does become a habitual thing where you're like, whether it's like you're on YouTube and you're playing with dolls and as an adult or whatever it is, like making voices and editing all this stuff or doing like weirdo stuff or taking your children and turning them into YouTube channels like we saw with a couple of other really bad situations where kids are basically being abused because they're like forced to work because they're making money on YouTube anywhere in the world, by the way, where there's like you can't protect children in those environments or whatever it is. I'm just kind of getting off into a tangent. That's to me like what's the feeling that's like so questionable, and it's like that's hard to come back from, because once you start making all kinds of money doing that, like you're now motivated to do more, exploitative, what is that the word, type content that exploits yourself, that just trying to clout chase so you can get more subscribers to make more money, and you gotta keep doing more and more of it until it's like,
circling back to what I said, that's like, with the
social
porn
media
thing, like, or with the porn thing where the guy, it starts off normal and they start, now it's like, oh, I can only watch like this disgusting incest assault place, and then same thing here. It's like you need more. It's taking a part of your brain and super stimulating it.
And by the way, politics is the same way. I've seen the same thing happen with people in politics, where it's like they need more and they need more and they need more, and they get more control over things, and they have to like feed their ego and fight more on Twitter, and they have to fight more in public, and they have to be right all the time. And it's a human characteristic that's a flaw that if you feed that beast, you continue to have those problems and those issues.
It is digital opium. It is digital opium, and people who get sucked into it, the endless scroll. Josh Hawley has talked about this a ton, the endless scroll, the gamification, and we're all guilty of it. Every single one of us.
Everyone is,
especially me, totally guilty of this. And I do try to be cognizant of it, that, hey, if I'm going to use my social media for anything, number one, it is, of course, the most important thing that I only use it for good, and making sure that people get the best night's sleep in the whole wide world with mypillow.com. And there's no question that that's what the purpose of social media is for, not just for for self-gain or self-interest. No. It is to make sure that I spread that news. In all seriousness, though, it's like you look, it's like any new technology. All right, we're all still kind of wrestling with it. Obviously, this played a huge role in the election, where the Republican candidate, President Trump, went all in on new media and social media and technology, and Kamala Harris played this like legacy media route and totally was destroyed. And it wasn't even a good legacy media route, and was destroyed over it, where Trump was all X and podcasts. And so the way that we as a society react to the internet, we're still kind of going through those growing pains.